Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr. This is my co host, Will. Will, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm William Montgomery, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. And our special guest this week is Melvin C. Walker Jr. I'll let him introduce himself. Melvin?
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Melvin C. Walker Jr., and I'm here today to discuss and introduce some real estate information, to get people to understand how to do some type of investing instead of letting their money sit around and wither away and put it into some property or business. And we just got some tools to help you out today.
Okay. And we have another gentleman here, someone I really don't know, Marcus. Marcus, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Um, are you a friend of Melvin's?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Melvin, you want to introduce him?
Sure. Marcus is one of my son's best friends, and he became an entrepreneur, and he has a property and he has a car that he rents out. So he's kind of like on his way. He's learning things at a young age where, he can uh, become his own man, become his own boss, and just make the right moves in life. So when he gets my age, he'll do very very well because he's a student of what he's doing. He's always
Uh,
inquisitive, always asking questions.
okay, we have another gentleman waiting to come on. We don't have any video on you, Kev. Can you hear me? Hello? I guess he's trying to get things going there. So we're going to hold on until he maybe he's having some technical difficulties. I don't know. But anyway, let's go with who we have. Uh, So, Melvin, please tell us how you got started in real estate and kind of get us up to speed to what you're doing right about now.
So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old, delivering newspapers before I went to school in the morning. So I've always had a drive to do different things that other people do. Once I got married, I went and got the regular job with the benefits. I worked for the city of New York, Department of Corrections. I'm a chef by trade, so I was actually cooking on Rikers Island, cooking food.
Mhm.
Um, I'm from Philadelphia. I was born in Philly, raised in Brooklyn, and one one day I'm in Philly visiting my cousin, and he says, "Oh, my grandmother's house is condemned, and my uncle is a squatter in the house, and they done boarded it up, and he keeps getting back in, and she wants to sell the property."
Mhm.
So I bells went off. We wound up making a deal with the grandma. We paid $4,000 for this property.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The house was leaning. There was no roof,
Hmm.
Oof.
and maybe 3 4 years later, it just leaned so much that the city condemned it.
Hmm.
Oh. Mhm.
So they tore it down. Um, I owe a bill because they tore it down.
Hmm.
And excuse me. And 21 years later, that property has risen. Um, I would say probably maybe 1,000% because I was just offered $40,000 for it. And all we did was pay the taxes on it,
Well, that's good. Good.
my cousin and I. So I did venture out into the real estate business back in 2006. I purchased some properties in the Poconos. Oh, by the way, I quit my job in 2003. Maybe 2005, I ventured out into the Poconos of Pennsylvania, purchased 2 properties, but I had a variable loan, which is the interest could go way up through the roof or it could stay where it was. So it obviously it went up. The mortgage debacle and the properties were just too out of reach to pay for. So I wound up going into foreclosure and I lost the properties. So it wasn't that real estate don't work. It's I didn't have all the information to do what I was doing. Because I do have a friend that bought property at the same time I did, and he still has them.
Okay.
So somebody did something wrong.
Okay.
So I went to a lady friend of a friend of mine's. I think she was one of my customers, as a matter of fact, at Big Papa's in Roosevelt. And I knew she was into the real estate market. And I said to her, I want you to teach me how to fish. I don't want you to buy me a fish. And she said, okay. And one thing about when you walk up to an entrepreneur and you give them interest of what they're doing, they will take you under their wing, especially if you're going to work for free. They will take you under their wing and they will teach you everything about what they do. And that's how you get your education in the areas you want to learn. So I bought so I held on to this property, and then during the pandemic I educated myself even further on real estate, stock market, and then I took out some. So the education was that I can buy a property with no income. All I need is an LLC, a 680 credit score, and I need the down payment of the property plus closing costs. So my first property was $100,000 in Delaware. It was 20% down, and closing costs could have been about $8,000. So 20% of 100 is 20,000, and then 8,000 for closing, and LLC, 680 credit score, down payment. That's all you need when you're buying a property through an LLC. I've done it twice. It works. So I knew that there was a way to do it because I don't work, so I don't have a income that a W-2, and I mean I file taxes, but my taxes goes on the income that I put in the bank. So that's how I became a real estate investor, and then I borrowed the $28,000. I borrowed $15,000 from another bank. So when you're buying a house conventionally, you can't do that. You can't go to Citibank and take the money from them and then go to Chase and say I want a mortgage, because it's going to be on your credit report. But when you buy houses in LLCs, it's all on business credit, and business credit is not reported on your regular credit report. And that's how you can do that. You can borrow money for the down payment from one bank and then go to another bank and get the money to purchase the property. So I wound up doing it 2 years in a row. I want to say it was 2 consecutive years in a row. Yeah, about 18 months apart. So
Okay.
I purchased these two properties, and now I have 5 tenants. And currently, I'm after everything is paid, I have an income of $1,500 a month
Mm.
from the
Mhm.
two properties.
Mhm.
So, so the goal is to get 10.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm somewhere around, you know, maybe 12,000 of income a month.
Mm.
So once you build it to that point,
Mhm.
now you ain't worried about working a job because
Mm.
you always have money coming in from different businesses. Well, it's the same type of business, but each building has its own entity.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to marry two buildings to one LLC. You always want to try to keep them separate. You don't have to, but it protects each LLC from anything happening into one property, and then the second property is affected because they're under the same umbrella.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's another way you can strategize to keep your businesses separate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Marcus seems to be coming in and out, and then we've got Robert Walker. Marcus, do you want to say something? You're still on mute.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
now
I
you're
had a
good.
little background. All right, yeah,
Hmm.
I can hear you. Well, yeah, basically, on this journey, as me being a beginner as an investor, uh, I'm just learning to trying to maximize and place my money in areas to make me more money.
Hmm.
So real estate was it started as an idea,
Hmm.
and as I proceeded, spoke more about it with Melvin being my best friend's father. I decided to take the risk, and as of right now, I do see passive income, and similar to like what Melvin said, the goal is to have 10, the goal is to have 20.
Hmm.
But I'm definitely learning as a beginner that passive income is the way to go. It's uh and eventually I'm not trying to lift a finger. I'm just trying to make it a situation to where I'm building a legacy, and my kids are fine off of the real estate.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Um, you said you're Melvin's son-in-law.
Yeah, well, he's my best friend
Oh, his best friend.
father.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, your best friend's father. I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay. Great.
So so
You live
what
in
it
Hempstead?
is, so what
I'm
it
sorry.
is, we have another situation of rich dad, poor dad.
Mm.
Rich dad, poor dad.
Mm.
Right. So in the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, the man who wrote the book, his name is Robert Kiyosaki from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So his dad was the poor dad, and
Mhm.
his best friend's dad was the rich dad.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So the poor dad had a job. He was a educator, supervisor or management or whatever. He was up there though, so he was making, over $100,000.
Mhm.
But his best friend's dad had five, six, seven different businesses, so
Mhm.
he was making money, in different ways that his father, his own father, didn't know about. So his father had one income, but the friend's father had several,
Mhm.
and several incomes can allow you to become wealthy because you're not just looking to get it from one avenue,
Mhm.
and you can always build. When it's a business, you can always take it higher and higher. A job, you're only going to get what they give you. You can still move
Mhm.
up in the ranks, but you'll never make more than the boss. And you
True.
and
Right.
then if it's a state, city, government job, there's a ceiling.
Mm.
So mentally, myself, Marcus, we have no ceiling.
Mhm.
And that's why I use the analogy rich dad poor dad, because if in that book is the same exact thing that he
Mhm.
just said. And that's one of the books I recommend people to read is Rich Dad Poor Dad, because it changes your mindset of thinking of not I can't afford this. It's how can I afford it?
Mm.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
it makes you ask the question differently. Same question about how can I afford it, but most people will say we can't afford it, or
Mhm.
we'll never be able to do this, or we'll never be able to do that. But
Mhm.
when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it will give you the tools and the mentality to say, what is it that I can do to achieve those goals that I'm looking
Mm.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Melvin, you said when we were offline that you do some seminars,
for? Yes.
right? Did you could you give us a little overview of one of them, the types of things that you discuss?
Yeah. So basically, we talk about credit, we
Mhm.
Mm.
talk about business credit, we talk about being in business while you're working your job, we talk about buying real estate, we talk about investing, um, whether you're comfortable with investing in real estate, whether you're comfortable with investing in stocks, um, or what I suggest is if you have a couple of dollars that you can invest, if you give it to a person that's already moving in a direction that they're making money, they will take it and they will use it to make money, and then you get a percentage off of the proceeds. Plus you have your money invested. You know what I'm saying? So you
Mhm.
can either get it all back with the interest, or you can just continue to collect the interest off of the money. It
Mhm.
depends on the deal that you work out with the person.
Mhm.
So, case in point, I have a transportation business where I have 3 vans and we do transport in airports, things like that. So, you could say, Larry, Mel, I want to buy a van and then I want to put it into your rotation with your fleet. And then me and you will work out a percentage of what you would get from the van, what I would get from the van. Obviously, it's your vehicle, so you would get more of a percentage than me.
Mhm.
I am what you call a broker at this point for you, and I am brokering your vehicle. And now you're doing whatever you're doing, but your money is making money for you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Passive
Mhm.
income, like Marcus said. That's
Mhm.
that's that's something that you put in place one time, and then it just continues to carry over and bring you
Mhm.
in revenue. So that's another thing that we tell people. You may not want to be involved, and may not want to have tenants, because there's headaches and everything. But
Mm.
you
Mhm.
but you may want to put your money in a vehicle that's going to make you more money.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when we talk about things like that, and like I said, the basic thing that I want people to understand is that you have to change your thinking,
Mhm.
because the difference between a rich man and a poor man is the way that they think.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this: when you are considering, let's say, going into real estate investing, um, are there some things that you need to kind of bone up on before you actually put money in somebody's hand?
Well, again, you have to have education of real estate and
Okay.
what it is. But I told you what the criteria was. If you become an investor,
Mhm.
you just need those 3 items:
Mhm.
680 credit score, an LLC,
Mhm.
and you need the 10% down, or the down payment, which is
Mhm.
20% plus closing.
Mhm.
That's basically it. I mean, you can technically be in line. You can't be delinquent or nothing like that. with the bank that's not going to give you any money. But when you're dealing with a hard money lender, the hard money lender is looking at the deal. They're not really looking at you. They're looking at the deal. And the deal says that I'm buying a house for $100,000. It needs some work, but it's really worth $160,000. So now there's a $60,000. Actually, there's an $80,000 gap because I'm giving 20%. So that's what they do. That's what they do. They evaluate the deal. The deal is the star in the equation. You just happen to be a component that's carrying the deal. But the deal is going to get made if I do it or if you do it. Doesn't matter because the deal works for the bank because they're in the business to make money.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if you have a good deal?
The numbers, the percentages. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? You do the math. There's formulas that we teach that tells you. There's formulas that we teach that gives you the mathematics of the deal.
Okay.
And that's how you know if it's a good deal or not. So if the numbers, what they say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
I don't care what it looked like. I don't care what it smelled like. I don't care what it tastes like. I don't care how much whipped cream you put on it. If the numbers don't work, it's not a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay.
And that's how you evaluate the deal.
Okay. Does research come into play?
Absolutely. That's called education.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You research the property. And this is why you have a team. You have an accountant. You have a banker. You have a realtor. You have a contractor. Because these people, and then you vet them. Make sure that they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
My realtor, my banker, my lawyer, my contractor, they all have properties. So they're all doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now, who is going to advise me better than someone that's doing what I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't go to a football player and start asking him about baseball strategies.
True.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you go to the source. You know, and every contractor don't own property, but if that what you can fall in line in, that's a plus for you because they're gonna help you strategize through things.
Okay. Are there classes that one could take that you would recommend?
There was a few people that I've taken courses with online. I even, you hear those come to the Marriott and you'll see the guy, he'll give you this course and you'll come into the Marriott for free, but then you walking out of there, you done gave him 10 grand. So I've been there, and as soon as they start asking for money, I leave. Because I don't have 10 grand. But you can always learn a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can refer if I, have it written down. Some people that I have listened to. I don't like buying courses from people that I don't know. I like to have hands on. I like for somebody to say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm gonna walk you through this." Most of the course people online, you don't get that one-on-one. You don't get that. Let me give you my cell phone number. See, everybody in my classes have my cell phone number. I've already walked 3 people into the bank, opened up an LLC with them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't charge for that. You know what I'm saying? Because I want people to understand that you have to You got to meet people on their level, and
Mhm.
it's what I'm teaching. I'm giving the community something that they don't have,
Mhm.
and I'll get mines. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about compensation because I know that I'm going to get blessed for one because I'm helping somebody, and two, um, we'll have a transactional agreement, later on. But in the beginning, because I want you to win. I want you
Mhm.
to obtain property. I want you to learn these tools that you need so it can help you. Because again, you haven't been doing this. So
Mhm.
you're not going to know the ins and the outs. So my job is that I feel compelled to teach and to to make awareness of there are other options of what you're doing with your money because you
Mhm.
got the money. I don't care if you make $20,000 a year. You got the money to buy property.
Mhm.
You just choose to do something else with it.
Mhm.
Now,
Pretty much.
it might take you 3 years to save up a down payment, and somebody else it might take them 1 year, but you could do it.
Mhm.
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 But we tend to do things like everybody else do. But my thing is, if you do what everybody else do, you're gonna get what everybody else got.
Mhm.
Mm.
True.
That's just the bottom line. So
Uh-huh.
you just have to make up in your mind that
Mhm.
you want to be different and you want to get out these projects, or you want to stop paying rent, or you want to own your own home, you want to, drive a nice car and own a home, because most people can't do both. Most people
Mhm.
can't own a home and drive a nice car.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? It depends on their income.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So when you make your money work for you, that's when you start to develop income, passive income, and then now you start to learn, and now you can see other ways instead of just your 9 to 5. And then
Mhm.
eventually, if you do this business and like I said, you're making 10 grand a month, you're not working no job no more.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
now you're going to turn that 10 grand a month into 15 grand a month because you
Mhm.
have the knowledge.
Mhm.
Mm.
Right. And that's looking at properties all day long, going to auction. So we're going to go to an auction in Connecticut on February 24th. I don't know what day that is, but I think it's a Thursday. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna take a group of people with me, and we're gonna see. Again, I'm showing you the process
Mhm.
of how investors work, how they think. They don't go on Realtor.com looking for
Mhm.
property
Mhm.
because that's where the price is going to be high. So investors always want to buy low, just like the stock market. You buy low, you hold it, or you sell high.
Mhm.
Same way.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So these are the things that you're not going to get when you go to these big gurus teaching real estate. They're not taking you to the auction.
Mhm.
They ain't
Mhm.
doing that.
Mhm. Well, um, going to the auction, yeah, I'm sure that's a part of the whole process and opportunity to, to build your portfolio. Um, but I think what I want to point out is that there is a lot of value to actually knowing what you're doing. I mean, it's kind of like just because I have a few dollars in my pocket and I put it in your hands does not necessarily mean or absolve me of not really understanding what you're going to do with the money and why you're going to do it
But
and
I
what
won't
should I
I won't
expect.
take your money because that's not what I do.
I'm not saying you personally. I'm
No,
just
no, no,
saying,
no, no,
when we,
no. What I'm saying is
yeah,
I won't just take your money and start investing it without you
mhm.
having knowledge of what I'm doing.
All right, all right,
That's not how
Mhm.
I work
yeah,
because I don't necessarily want. Okay, put it to you like this: I will never own a barbershop because I don't know how to cut hair. And one of the the chapters in the book who Rich Dad Poor Dad says, mind your own business. So you need to have information and access and education of where your money's going.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? See,
Yeah.
most people that are in the stock market, they just get a stockbroker and just, like you said, just give them the money. And you hope that things go well. And this is why people don't do well, because you need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, I got a friend, he's like, oh man, I just want to give you the money and you go ahead. No. We're not doing that. We are going to educate you. You know, I just want to be a silent partner. Okay, but you're gonna get this education first. You know what I'm saying? Because now you'll know what's going on. And see, we don't look at money like white folks look at money. White folks understand that money could be their best friend, and it can take them places that they can never go. So they cherish the money. I give you a real quick story. My brother is a pastor, but he worked for the Board of Ed in the city. There was an elderly couple, an elderly man and a woman in my church. 80 and 82, something like that. So he's talking to a Jewish lady and saying, hey, these two people in my church, they just got married. It's a wonderful thing. You can find love in your 80s. The Jewish lady said, well, what they going to do with the money? So he's like, what do you mean what they going to do with the money? Because in the Jewish culture, everybody got money. So now you have two families coming together as one. So, and then you have adult children on both sides. So how are you going to divide the money? But in our case, we ain't got no money. So we don't even think about how the money going to get divided. And that's what I'm saying. So we don't have that first mentality. Because that's the first thing the lady said. What they going to do about the money? And how they going to divide it up? So we got to get to a point where the money matters. You know what I'm saying? Because money, the Bible says money answers all things. All things. If you got a problem, throw some money at it. It'll solve it.
What version of the Bible is that you're talking about? Because I ain't seen that one.
You ain't seen that?
No, I ain't see that one.
I'm going to pull it up for you.
Okay.
Money answers all things. Now, it also says the love of money is the root of all evil. But we're not talking about loving the money. We're talking about using the money as a vehicle to get you things and put you in a better position in life and leaving wealth for your family.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. I'm gonna get that verse for you too.
Oh, okay. Because I want to write that one down. I do want to point out that my background has been in banking and primarily commercial loan lending, but I have had opportunity to make loans that were backed by real estate or make loans that were for the purchase of real estate, not so much as real estate investing, because the risk is substantially different when you're an investor as opposed to a business owner. Even though investing is a business, okay, the risk is just different. And I always want to caution people that you really need to understand what you're doing before you do it. And as Melvin pointed out, you definitely want to have a mentor or a team of people that you can go to and get answers. The difference is you need to know what questions to ask in order to get the answers that you need. And so that puts the onus back on you as the investor, or however you want to couch yourself, as to, well, what do I need to know before I even open my mouth and talk to my mentor and say, look, I'm thinking about this particular property. For example, and I wanted to talk to Melvin. We'll talk about it, later on or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, you posted in Facebook about a property you were looking at in Waterbury,
Right.
an apartment house. Uh, at the moment that you posted it, you really didn't seem to have a lot of information about the property, which is understandable because you got to start somewhere. My point is that I went and did a little research on that particular property, and in that research, I found that the community, the area, is not really doing all that well right now,
Right.
as far as for investing. Now, as an investor, yes, you have to be motivated. Okay, you may see a property that you think looks good or whatever. Fine, but then you go back and you do the research. You know, I put my money in today. How long is it going to take before I get my money back, and then
Right.
make money? Okay. Now, I'll get to you in a second, Will.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you invest in an area where the economy is about to grow, has turned south, it's two different strategies.
Right.
If it's about to boom, then yeah, you want to get in as soon as you can because you know your money's going to grow. But if it's a downturn, are you willing to wait for it to turn back up to get your money out?
Right.
Will, you had a question?
No, I didn't have a question. I was going to make a comment because
Hmm.
that is true. You should. I think the first thing that an investor needs to know is what their intentions are and uh, what their risk level is. If they're willing to put this money in there, if they need it like back tomorrow, they probably shouldn't be investing in something that they're not, you know, guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. So, um, but if you're like, well, I have some money to spare. If it takes 2, 3 years, I see the potential. That area looks like it'll probably turn around in the next 3, 4, 5 years. You really have to understand yourself and your limitations before you step on that field. And I think that's like the primary thing that people need to look at before they get into investment.
Yeah, you have to really understand how long it's going to take, what your window is going to be. Even if you're flipping properties, which is, we haven't talked about that opportunity.
Right.
Even if you're flipping something, it could take you 90 days. It could take you 6 months. It could take you a year to get your money back out. Yeah, you know that you're comfortable that there's enough of a margin there for you to make money. But then as time goes on, that margin starts to dwindle.
Hmm.
you know. So yeah, you probably want to go in with something like that with someone who has good experience and be prepared that it may not turn in 90 days like you think,
Right.
Hmm.
which would be buying it, then renovating it, then putting it back up on the market. All three of those could take more time than you thought. But if you've done your research and you put together, as Melvin said earlier, your plan, um, you'll probably have a budget in it, and you'll have a budget and a B budget. A meaning things are going to go just like I think they should go, and like I want them to go, and it's going to be great. And then the B budget, things didn't go like I wanted them to go. What's going to
Right.
happen on the downside if it's not going well at all? How do I get out of this thing?
Exactly. You have
And
an exit plan.
yeah, your exit plan, and that's important because you have to have an exit plan for you and whoever else is with you, because they
Well,
may
I
not
mean,
see it the same way. They may not be willing to say, "Look, I'm willing to. I got 100,000. If I lose 50, I'm good." They may say, "Look, I got 100,000. If I lose $10 out of that, I got a problem."
Hmm.
You see, and that problem's going to be on your shoulders, not mine, because you talked me into this.
right.
But the point is that yeah, we have as potential investors a due diligence issue. We have to do our work, and then come and you get your insights from your mentor, and you do your networking. Melvin mentioned that you should have a team. In that team, you might want to include a networking resource, such as here on Long Island, we have the Long Island Real Estate Investors Association, okay, which is a group of a lot of white folks who have real estate. Very few black folks attend the meetings, but the value is
I
that
need to
you.
go. Tell me
I'm
when the
sorry.
next one is. I need to go to that meeting.
Yeah, and it's good because one thing it does do is you get an opportunity to learn openly. You don't have to worry about, well, look, if I don't ask the right question, I missed that question. You're in a room with probably that particular organization, 40 or 50 people, easy. All of them have portfolios of some size or whatever. And when someone is doing a presentation, such as Melvin, you just did a property or something and you want to stand up and talk about it, these are the good points, bad points, or whatever, you're doing that in front of 40 people, 50 people. And the people are going to ask questions. You say, well, what happened here? And you may say, oh, look, well, didn't go like I planned it, but this is what I did. And somebody will stand up and say, well, here's another option on that. If you ever run into that problem again, you could do this or you could do that. So you have your team, good, but you want to have your network also with you. And moving fast is relative. You know, moving fast to me might mean by lunch today. Moving fast to an investor might be, well, by first of next month, we'll make a final decision. Because they want to get their information in, they want to talk to the people, and then personally, I like to go look at the real estate myself. I like to go in, put my hands on it, and see. Now, I'm not necessarily a contractor, but most of the time you can recognize a problem when you look at it. And yeah, you might want to get an engineer in, depending on the size of the project and what's at risk. But yeah, you want to do as much, get yourself as educated as you can, not only on the business, but also on each property that you're going to put your money into. And we can talk more about that later. Marcus, did you have something? Because you're sitting there kind of quiet.
No, not at all. I'm just listening, taking everything in. This is more so like considered wisdom to me.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's more so of a pleasure of me just being here and being able to experience an opportunity like this. Like I said prior, I'm more so like a beginner. I might have been in real estate now about 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
6, 7 months. I rent a car on Toro out of Jacksonville, Florida. That's about the same, about 6, 7 months. So I'm just here to gain this wisdom from others that are on different plateaus than me. And,
Okay.
a strong way of doing that is by listening. That's it.
That's what you got to do sometimes. You got to sit at the feet and listen
Definitely.
and try to absorb and keep your eyes open. Because
Definitely.
sometimes people say stuff that they can't do or they
Hmm.
ain't going to do, and it make you think that they done did it, you
Hmm.
know. But yeah, listening is a good thing.
I
And
got that
so,
scripture for you,
oh, okay,
Brother
I'm
Larry.
ready for it.
It's Ecclesiastics
Okay,
chapter 10, verse 19, King James Version.
chapter 10, verse 19.
Yeah,
And could you read it to us again?
I sure am. It says, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry. But money answers all things.
No, okay, I gotta look at that one.
Yes, sir.
I gotta look at that one.
Money
Because
answers all
I
things.
mean, at the same time, you made the point earlier that money can't the love of money
The love
can
of
be
money.
the root of all evil.
Right.
Can be, can be. Don't necessarily have to be,
No, no, no.
because if you're using your money and you're following what God would have you to do with it, you're going to be in a good place.
Right. But if you
The-
love money, you'll do anything to get it, like hurt people, put
That
people in
that
bad
Mm.
positions.
that
So
would be a
that's where the
problem.
Right.
love of money comes
Yeah.
from. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And now you're doing things dishonestly,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Just to gain. Or, how they say, step on dim somebody's light so your light can shine brighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the love of money,
Mm-hmm.
And we all probably experienced that with somebody, you know.
It doesn't
But
always work out when you experience it though.
right,
Yeah.
but
Let me.
everybody needs money.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And when you say wealth and legacy, money is attached to that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the legacy of PC Richards. You don't think they got some money?
I'm sorry. The legacy of what? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
The legacy of PC Richards.
PC Richards.
I think they working on year 124,
Oh yeah.
124 years.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
Let me.
Go ahead.
If you don't, is there any type of criteria to be a part of that organization that you had mentioned, Larry, in Long Island?
No, you just pay the fee.
Okay.
You pay the fee. There's a couple. Most counties, if you just Google, real estate investment associations or clubs, investor clubs,
Okay.
something like that, there you can find a list. And when you look at the list, and I'm saying this specifically so you understand, there'll be a list. Go down the list, look at it. If they have a website, go to the website and get a sense before you go out and think about joining. Yes, you want to go visit, you want to see what's
Hmm.
happening, and then because it's a learning opportunity. Some of these organizations, the good ones, they offer classes, and these are classes that are unique. So, for example, you want to do passive income rentals. Um, they'll have a class on mortgages, private
Okay.
mortgages, because sometimes you can't get that property unless you get a private mortgage because you may not qualify for it. Okay,
Okay.
you can get private mortgages and you can make private mortgages. Okay, whole nother business, but it's just as
Mm.
lucrative as being the property owner. When we talk about passive income, I wrote you a check. In 30 days, I'm looking for a check coming from you.
Okay.
See, and you on the hook for 10, 15, 20 years. All right. So, yeah,
Exactly.
it's definitely an opportunity. I'm sorry, go on.
No, I said exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and they
so,
Now,
also have Facebook pages. These associations.
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah. But you can't get really personal. I don't know. I'm the kind of guy, I like to look in your eyes. I like to watch
Okay.
you. Because, a snake is going to eventually they ain't gonna go in a straight line. No, they're gonna wiggle back and forth because that's how they get around. But you don't know that if you're online. If you're looking at them, you can see them. Will?
No, I think what he was saying is like, you look on Facebook and look up the association and find out where they're meeting at and then go check it out. You know what I'm saying? It's a form of
Oh
research.
yeah, yeah.
You
That
don't
that
want
that's
to you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, okay, I'm gonna just trust the internet, stuff like that. Like you said, you do want to meet people, see if they're genuine or not, and see if that's something that you want to affiliate yourself with. But using Google, using Facebook, you know, um, I think there's groups sometimes once you get affiliated with them, they are on WhatsApp, and they'll blast out like information and stuff like that to you. So there's so many different tools out there. You just got to be open to looking at all of them.
yeah. You do your research just like you do with anything else. Some
Right.
may fit, some may meet on certain days you just can't make it. You know,
Hmm.
you have to figure out what's going to work for you. All right, gentlemen, we're going to
No.
kind of close out. Right now, I'd like
Okay.
to give you an opportunity to say some final words, and then we'll have Will do his final invitation, and we'll close. Melvin, since
What
you're the
thing?
guest,
Will, you have any questions? Will?
Oh no, everything that you said, I'm tracking with, and I mean, I'm just not up there in that area to capitalize on some of the stuff like going to Connecticut with you. I'm down here in Augusta, Georgia, so, but I'm definitely a
Okay.
fan of real
Well,
estate, and
well,
hmm,
you can do real estate in every county of America.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I just haven't reached that level of branching up north yet, but I will get there. Trust me.
Yeah.
You'll hear from me too.
I mean,
Uh,
but there's real estate in Augusta that I even looked at.
okay.
It may not
Yeah.
be 3 family homes, but
Hmm.
listen, if the numbers work,
Definitely.
they work. You
Hmm.
know, and guess what? You can get a home that is either at the auction about to go into foreclosure or is already in foreclosure, you can make a deal with the owner even though it's in foreclosure. You can still make a deal with the owner because they own it until the bank take it, whether they pay it or not. Then you can take that property, you can use hard money to get the property fixed, and then you can put Section 8 in it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you probably get the house for 50 grand.
Yep.
You put 40 into it, you in it for 90, you're going to get a valuation of 170, 180. Pull cash out of it, and then the Section 8 tenants will pay it back because Section 8 pays, I believe, up to 95% of the rent. Section 8 is a federal funded voucher. You can use it anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to be, as the landlord, you got to be on top of your game too. They're not going to tolerate any problems.
and this is what I just learned about Section 8 tenants. If they destroy your property, they lose their Section 8.
Right. Right.
And Section 8 will repair the property. You know what I'm saying? So the incentive is for them not to destroy it.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's just one thing. Like, I try to get people to understand that don't talk yourself out of it. Find a way how you could do it where you are. Because there's a book called Acres of Diamonds. Okay. And a man was looking for his riches everywhere but in his own backyard. And come to find out, there was oil on his property. And he sold the property for $10. And the guy who bought it found the oil. So sometimes the riches is in your backyard. You're just looking in the wrong spot. Because you see New York, you see Philly, and you don't think that Newark, New Jersey has any wealth to it. Because you're familiar with your area. You know what I'm saying? See, when I go to Connecticut, I'm in New York. When I go to Connecticut, I'm like, why y'all renting? These houses is like a 3-family house is $150,000, and y'all renting.
Well, one of the problems in Connecticut is that the income in a lot of pockets there are low, and so they can't afford it. But they can afford a good rental rate. Yeah, they can't afford to get a mortgage and buy a house. But again, that's a part of the research. You want to see, whatever. Let me close.
Go ahead.
Will, I want to thank you, Melvin, for participating. Marcus, thank you for coming. Will, you want to give your announcement?
We'd like to thank all our visitors and viewers for attending today. And if you have any comments on topics that you would like to hear us discuss, or if you would like to be a part of the panel, please send us a message in the comments, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. And for our guests and viewers, we will see you next time, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
And the creek don't rise.
Amen, and God bless.
God bless.
God bless.